back here in the depths of the Waco Center, back here at Glenville State College, here in the athletic department. Welcome back to the Coaches Show. Our guest this afternoon is head football coach Mike Kellar. Glad to have you back here, Coach.
Thank you. Yep, glad to be back.
Tell you what, last Saturday, it was a tough, hard-fought loss down at State. We'll say the Javon Butler, we really made a push for him to get Player of the Week.
Yeah.
I know he didn't get in the league. He got our department Player of the Week. 8 catches, 238 yards, 2 touchdowns. And the catch, it wasn't a touchdown, may have been his best catch, just about his performance down there.
Oh, Javon was, he's been a great player really since I've been here. Him not being here this past spring with track, it obviously took a little shot out of our passing game. He's an over-the-top guy, a polished guy, really a post-go comeback route runner. And the best receivers I've ever had, that's kind of what they've been best at. And that allows them to catch some of the quick games, some of the screens, some of the other things that we do with him. But, he really put us on his back, in that game. Tough loss for us, probably one of the tougher losses of the season, probably for me personally, one of the toughest losses that I personally ever experienced. But he definitely had a very good day. Like you said, the one catch on the sideline is one of the better catches I've ever seen live.
Yeah.
And he's been a good kid all year. He was voted captain. He's very coachable. I love where Javon's at, and I hope he gets a chance to play past, Glenville.
Yeah. Couple on the defensive side, a couple guys going to end up with. We've got 2 more games, poaching some big numbers on the stats side with Brandon Penn.
Yeah.
Well, he's doing the secondary, and Seth Arnold, the linebackers, really racking up the tackles. About the kind of season those 2 kids have had.
Well, both of them are. Brandon's a COVID freshman is the term that we've kind of. I think we've kind of helped make up. And obviously, what he's done in the secondary. With the interceptions and his ball skills. He's a kid who we played at the nickel position or what we termed an outside linebacker position this spring. And this past summer, we thought, well, let's move him back to free safety because he's a former quarterback in high school. And he's got very good ball skills, played corner some in high school, and he's able to be a little bit of a ball hawk back there for us. And then he supports the run very well. Seth Arnold's kid who we had at running back last spring, and when we did our top players, he came out on every list as one of the top players on the team. And we thought, well, he's not getting enough reps on offense. So we moved into defense. And every week I look at that stat sheet with him, and it's 9 tackles, 12 tackles. 2 weeks ago, I think it was 17 tackles. And I can't tell you what the leaders are in the league, but I imagine he's got to be way up there.
He's up there. I know I have to check with our SID, Dave Rogers, on that. I know there was a couple weeks ago he was on top. And I think he may have gotten past this week, but with the work of the offensive line, Alfred Minger, I believe he went over 700 yards this last week. So, if he had a couple big games here, he could still, flirt with that 1,000 mark. Just about, what's evolved in the running game this year.
Well, as you all know, Alfred didn't play, the first 2 games, and he played a little bit in week 3. And he got hurt on a goal line run at the end of one of our practices a few days before the Concord game. Or he probably would be over 1,000. He's hard-nosed guy, very smart running back. Coach Trickett, he spends a lot of time with those guys on what their reads are. Yeah. And Alfred's a guy who's bought into it. If his one read goes a certain way, he sticks it up in there if there's a hole or not. He runs with a lot of faith behind that line, and it's paid off for him because he's had some very good games. And of course, anytime you're running the ball, you're running, or your offensive line and your tight ends are doing some good things blocking. Even the wide receivers downfield are doing a good job blocking.
Well, we got this week. Fairmont, a very big game for both communities. The rivalry dates back, over 100 years.
Yeah.
We're 1-0 in trophy games this year. This one's the battle of the bit this week. Again, the game means a lot to the 2 communities, and I know you being from Shinston, you could jump in an inner tube and float to Fairmont, where your home is.
Yeah.
Just what this game means for the 2 institutions and communities, and for you personally.
Yeah, where I live in Shinston is probably about 20, 25 minutes from their campus, where I grew up. Where I grew up at in Shinston. So I understand Fairmont football very well. Obviously, out of high school, I came here, and played quarterback here, and then later transferred to Fairmont and coached at Fairmont. So I know both schools, very, very well. And, when we were at Fairmont, the team that we didn't like the most was Glenville. And when I was at Glenville as a player, the team we didn't like the most was Fairmont. And I think it's just a natural rivalry because of where we're at. We both programs know each other very well. Me and their head coach, Asa Woodman, go back a long ways. We coached together. First at Cal when I was the OC and he was the running back coach, and then when I was fortunate enough to be a head coach at Concord, I was able to hire Jason, and I've seen him blossom as a coach, and he's done a very good job there, and they got a good football program. We're both very similar in the fact that I think both teams are better than what their records are. I told the team yesterday, Bill Parcells always said, "You are what your record says you are." So right now, both programs, I would imagine if you talk to him and you talk to me, we're both going to tell you there's 2 or 3 more wins in there that both of us should have had. It ought to be a fun, Saturday to go and see 2 teams that are built very similar, competing very hard, who both want to win very badly.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I remember the game from 2 years ago, that Thursday night game, how special that was.
Yeah.
With, I think it'll long be remembered for the plays that Dom made that night.
Yeah.
But, and he's probably using that as some motivation this week about the.
I would imagine so. That was one of the weirder wins I've ever had. I talked about State being one of the worst losses I've ever had. That was a different win. We really had no production on offense that night, and Dom. Dom just carried us. I think he scored 2 touchdowns himself as the middle linebacker. I mean, that may be the first and only time I've ever seen that in my whole life.
Yeah.
And my son Anthony, who's now GA in force right now, with our coach at linebackers, was at the game, and he said, "If I was you, I'd name Dom the offensive and defensive player of the game." And we did. So that week, that was the first time in history for us that we had one player named player of the game on both sides of the ball.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll circle back. We'll close. We started with Javon with 2 games left. I mean, what he's moving up on some career lists. I know you know Chris George. You were here with Chris, and the numbers he put up, and the points he's going to be, in the top 5 all time in points here in track. Just at the end of his rope here, what about the special player, just a legacy you think he'll leave here? Yeah,
I would imagine he's going to be in the Glenville State Hall of Fame one day, with the way that with the career he's had, like you said, as a 2-sport athlete, and obviously I'm very good friends with Chris and him and my son Jacob, he's his godfather, so I got to see Chris here, what kind of receiver, and to me, that's off limits, that's sacred ground, the whole Chris George, how good a receiver he was. But Javon, I mean, you can't beat the career he's had in football and in track, and you and I know that he'd probably be one of the better basketball players on campus and one of the better baseball players on campus.
Had a great career in high school in both those sports.
Yeah, so he's a guy who's just a really, you don't really see that now. When we grew up, everyone was a 3-sport athlete. Now guys really, they say, I'm going to be just, I don't want to specialize in one sport, and they kind of go that route. Javon's an old school guy in the fact that he played whatever was in season and is naturally good at all of them. He punted a ball for us last week. I think he's throwing a 40-some-yard completion this year. He's got one of the best arms on the team. Javon's a good athlete and a really good kid. I mean, he doesn't talk a whole lot. He's practiced this year hurt. You and I both know he's played some games beat up, and he not only has he played in those games, but he showed up on Tuesday and Wednesday and been a leader for the program.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I tell you, I'm very excited for Saturday. Can't wait for it to be 1 o'clock out here at Morris Stadium. So put that on the calendar, and Coach, we'll be talking about it again next week. Thanks for coming today.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you much.